Hi, so one morning in January of 2014, I walked into my bathroom at 5 a.m. because I was getting ready to catch a train to go to DC for work. And I walk into my bathroom and I feel splish, splish, splish on my bare feet. And I look down and I notice there's about 2 inches of standing water. And I think, that wasn't there last night. And I look up and I see water coming out of the electrical fixture that I have in the middle of the room. And I remember thinking, wow, well, I remember a long time ago that someone told me electricity and water aren't supposed to mix. So this is bad. But since I worked at a law firm at the time, if I had said to my boss, I'm bleeding out of my eyeballs, she still would have said, suck it, get on the train and go to DC. So water coming out of my light fixture was not going to cut it. So I stuck a bucket under the light and I went to DC. I called the contractor and I said, hey, Drew, there's water coming out of the light fixture. Do you think you can find the source of the leak? And he said, well, I'll try, but finding the source of water is notoriously hard. So he went up to the roof when the snow had melted, and he kind of put some of that black mucky stuff around on the roof, and he's like, I tried to take care of it. And this was the winter when there was like 11 million inches of snow. Yeah. So the next time it snowed, I walked into my bathroom again, the water's coming out of the ceiling. I was like, fuck. So I thought, well, let me try to fix this myself. So the first thought I had was, well, let me try to make the snow not there. So at 4 a.m., I went up to the 3rd floor, I opened the window, I took a shovel, and I hopped down onto the roof over the bathroom and I started shoveling snow off of the roof. And because the city of Philadelphia, as you may know, it's illegal to shovel snow off of your sidewalk into the street. So I figured, well, it's double illegal to shovel snow off of your roof into the sidewalk. So I was like furtively trying to shovel snow and get it far enough off of my roof so that people wouldn't notice that there was this perimeter of shoveled snow off of my roof. And then I was like, all right, finally, I've gotten rid of the snow. I go back down in the bathroom and I go in to survey my victory, let alone, and then again, drip, 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 drip out of the fixture in the middle of the room. And again, I'm like, God damn it. So I think, all right, well, I'm not making any headway making the snow go away. Let me think what I can do next. So then the next time it snowed, I go into the bathroom and there was that bulge coming out of the ceiling where there's water under the drywall. So I was like, I once saw somewhere that what you're supposed to do is drill a little hole so that the water can at least be channeled into a bucket. So I got a bucket and a Phillips head screwdriver and a hammer, and I drilled my little hole and I got the water into the bucket, and I was like, okay, success. And then I thought, wait a minute, now's my chance. The water is active. I can trace it back to the source. So if I had an HGTV network television series, it would be called Idiot with Wrong Tools. So using only a screwdriver and a hammer and a lot of anger, I started chipping away at my ceiling. So I poked a hole and I would feel around up there and I'd be like, oh, it's dry. I better not go in that direction because I know the water's not coming from there. So then I would chip away and I'd be like, oh, the water's coming from over there. So eventually I ripped enough of a hole that I was on the track of the water. I was like, I'm in hot pursuit. I'm on the trail. But then the hole was so big that I couldn't direct the water into the bucket anymore. So I went down to my basement and I got one of those, this is all God's honest truth. I got one of those 32-gallon big Rubbermaid buckets and I brought it up to the bathroom because it was something that I could direct the water into and also put the shards of the ceiling into, so it had dual purpose. So I was tearing it away and tearing it away and tearing it away, and then at one point I was like, this doesn't look so good. So I texted my boyfriend and I was like, do you still have a reciprocating saw? And he writes back, he's like, why? And I'm like, click, send. And then he writes, he's like, why did you murder your bathroom ceiling? And I said what anyone would say, in my defense, the bathroom ceiling fucking started it. So he said, well, it's the middle of a snowstorm. I'm not coming over with a reciprocating saw. Deal with it as best you can. So I was like, well, now I'm knee deep into this, and I've ripped out half my bathroom ceiling in a rage using a screwdriver and a hammer. I'm trying to direct water into a bucket, and there's a lesson in all this somewhere. Something about not letting anger direct my activities. But I'll figure that out later. And meanwhile, I had the water. So I was driving towards the water, towards the edge of where the wall met the ceiling. But in the meantime, I now had pretty much the entire ceiling exposed and no way to direct the water anywhere, not even into the 32-gallon bucket. So I was like, well, maybe I can direct it into the shower. So I went down to my basement again and I got a shower curtain, because even though I didn't have a shower with a curtain, it had like one of those glass walls. I thought, when I moved from my condo, I'll bring the extra shower curtain with me, because you never know when you're going to need an extra shower curtain. Like, for example, when you rip out your ceiling and need to direct the water into the shower. So then I built this like slip and slide into the shower, only then it created a hammock. So I went back down into my basement and I got 2 pieces of plywood. And then I kind of shored up the hammock to direct the water from the source of the leak into the shower. So now I had identified the source of the leak as definitely coming from somewhere over there. And I had the entire ceiling exposed and the water going into the shower. So then I called my contractor and I was like, I found the source of the water! It's somewhere over there! So he went up onto the roof and he went down and I was like, look right there, it's there! So he goes up there and he finds a 3-inch nail sticking out of the roof. And I was like, how the fuck did you miss that? How do you miss a 3-inch nail sticking out of my fucking roof? And he's like, I didn't know where to look.